So guys, happy Sunday, happy afternoon, welcome to a special session today, because last Thursday was a small disaster, so I decided to do, again, a small investigation about things, because my pace lately has been just way too variable, really. So we've qualified for the LFM Pro Series, namely, like, you know, just a tenth and a half off the peak time of our teammates. However, it has been our teammates that have put pole position here in Monza in same car, same material, same setup, same conditions, and taking away 8.5 tenths of us. So I'm actually wondering a little bit as in why that is the case. And because of that wondering, as you can imagine, it is very important to have a closer look as in where that difference may come from. So yeah, here we are in the BMW at Monza again. Yes, I should perhaps be here in the Ferrari because the next VMS Pro Series race is in the Ferrari, but I'll leave that to later in the week, maybe even later on the weekend, because as of right now, I'm having a mixture of being frustrated and confused and puzzled, as in why these things do not come together as intended to an extent. Not sure if intended is the right word, but I'm pretty sure you guys are very much aware of what I'm trying to emphasize with it. We have like a good 45 minutes, good hour of running time, so I want to dedicate that to this BMW, and I want to dedicate to this hour in order to try and understand what exactly is my issue. And I hope you guys will be enjoying that. So to put you into the picture of things, 35.6 has been my lap time. 34.8 is what teammates have been doing. So a roughly 8.5 tenth that we need to find that we are investigating here. So let's see. The painful part is, yeah, having to go through this warm-up phases of tires in order to even have an idea of what's going on. So yeah, this has not only helped with the warm-up, this has also like shredded the tires accordingly, but I just want to keep going. And it's fascinating, right? Like, I have conducted a Motec analysis in the first place, and I've seen things happening on those Motecs which are rather interesting, as in teammates hitting the brakes hard, hitting the brakes 100%. I can show you what that looks like if I do that. Well, actually you just saw, I think. But like, let's go into Variante Ascari, 300 kph braking zone, full brakes, and then I immediately lock the rear or lock the fronts. It's just, I don't 100% get it, because to me it looks like being an aggression issue. But then the aggression they hit the brakes is exactly the same compared to me. Yet they don't spin while I'm locking. And I'm not sure if it has to do with the fact that I'm probably a bit overly hard on the brakes, deep into the zone still, potentially. I don't know. Marvin! Hello there, thank you so much for joining. Welcome. Remember, 35.6 to beat. Yeah. I'm probably braking on that kink or on that wave. Doesn't really help, does it? Yeah, not just that, Marco, not just that. The delicateness thing is one issue, but this is also to do with, like, that bump is in, like, in the middle of the braking zone where you'd be easing off. Anyway. 36.5, obviously shit final sector. A little bit of time gain. We're in that first one. Now need to be just perfectly smooth into the second chicane. I think that was perfectly smooth, but also like extremely too early. Losing another 10.5 to my previous lap. See that we can get Ascari right. Looks a lot better on the exit itself. And then last but not least, all Parabolica. I obviously I screwed that up big time on the last lap, right? But 36.3. So I'm lacking even half a second to the session that I just put the lap time in. And like I do not understand, and this is the thing where I need to review this. So I return to garage. I'm waiting for the 3 magic beeps. There we are. This doesn't matter. So inputs. So where is the turn where I die? That's here. You see, I'm not even hitting. Well, okay, I do hit 100%. Yeah. And then I go down, and then I come back to it. And I have this, I kind of have this wave, literally probably in so many laps. Same here. I'm at top, having that wave. I don't know actually exactly what's happening there. Carbon copy of my fastest lap, actually. And that's part of my issue. I'm hitting full brakes, and instead of like generally going down, I come back up at it and then obviously lock tires. And I do not know. I'm having an idea where this is coming from, but it would be very random, would it? Controls. I feel like hitting brakes and then even keeping the pressure, it kind of goes down. But if I like this, it looks big aggression, and then it gradually goes down already. So to me, that's not the thing. Yeah, okay. Anyway, fresh set of tires. Same shit again. I need to somehow get this fixed. Because like week in, week out, it's not only about you know, being a little tenth off left, right and center. It's also choking on every other qualifying session because of exactly that issue. Nice, already cobblestoned the tires a bit. I don't know, it is to me is a bit of a mystery how to do these things. It feels like it has to do with the tire model, and then at the same time it feels like I'm driving hypercar for the first time in my life for like a week, not having any idea what's going on in the first place. Now, if I look into my telemetry, my initial brake input is going 100%, then goes gradually down. Yeah, Marco, but that is also only just a symptom of the issue. People tend to be able to brake with those settings, while I can't. I don't know, have a close look on the brake trace on the... You know what? I'll bring up my telemetry stuff myself, so that I can see what's going on the pedal side of things in real time. Like, you know, whenever I brake and I hit the pause button, the problem is I think the telemetry then vanishes. Yeah. At least after 5 seconds, but it would give me a fast shot at these things. In the beginning of the game, they thought braking is way too sensitive. Well, in the very first iteration of hypercars, when it launched 2024, I think those tires were even more sensitive to braking. Sorry, not even more sensitive, they were less sensitive. Like, this is more sensitive to braking on. And I know you mean, like, real life drives, but yeah, I don't know. We need to talk Tom Dillman perhaps, but he's deeply downwired in an LMP2 now rather than an actual hypercar. But yeah, it is part of my struggle. I'm not understanding really what is going on these tires. I'm also not understanding what is wrong on my driving. It's just like, you know, those things like go into power, car stable, then you open the steering a little bit more and suddenly you get that rear snap. It's like, what the fuck? Why is the car doing the things that it's actually doing? I'm really trying my best to like nail corners, get things together, having looks. reach that apex, man. Like, why? This is exactly what I already went a click forwards with the brake bias, and yet I'm losing the car like crazy on it. Yeah, for turn 1 I had the re-increasement of brake pressure now, because I also felt it because I went slowly onto the brakes and then like even kept increasing the pressure. I'm aware of that. I'm not sure if downshifting too early, but like the car just randomly locked the rears on the bump, and then you just die. I'll look the brake trace now. It had this weird flex to the top again. Need longer traces actually. The brakes. This one surely had an upwards increasing pressure, I think. Yeah, I tried focusing on keeping a steady pressure into turn 1. Yeah, the rattling on the curb takes just so much away of it. So, 4/10 improvements, 35.8. Still lacking even 2/10 to my PB and a full second to my teammates. Cheliams, hello there. Thanks for joining. Okay, where is my pit wall? Lovely dashboard. Because the lovely pit wall will tell me where my issues are located, for sure. Well, not necessarily where the issues are located, but you know, this lovely pit wall, I'm gonna make this a bit bigger, hopefully, here on the screen before moving it to the top. Yes, awesome. So, I don't want to have a look at the Circle of Doom, but we're gonna have a look at this one, because I can't put that live now. But here I see throttle and brake, so I can see what is actually going on. Besides, obviously, the pit wall has been meant to display things like this. This is if I would be engineering, I could look at a lot of good things, a lot of important messages, and a lot of important stuff. So for this one now, I'm gonna put it here on my top screen, so that next time I'm doing laps, which is going to be now, I am seeing a little bit more history of what I'm actually doing in the car, right? Trays actually cut. Oh yeah. Yes, that's much better. Now I can analyze in real time what am I doing on the brake. So, not saying I don't need to rely on you guys, but generally speaking, it's I do see what I'm doing, right? Jellyams, what do you mean? Depends on driving style. Ah, yeah. That's for sure. But then there's also a physical thing. You know, don't get me wrong. If I'm losing a second or 8/10 to my teammates, that's not just driving style related on the same setup. Alright, there's a fundamental issue. And I'm trying to just find it, you know? Unless the setups in the end were different. I don't know about that one. Yeah, it can be frustrating very much. And you know that it's one thing to be like 2, 3 or 4 10 off. Those guys keep sweating the hours in setup and driving and stuff. So, you know, there will be a natural difference anyway. Last 2 weeks, I did like 23 hours or 20 hours of driving on Le Mans Ultimate. Guys in my team have 70 hours in the same period, so of course there will be a difference to that, even though there might be idling time included, but you know what I'm talking about. It is just a lot of time, a lot of more and significantly more productive time. Maybe optimizing setups, driving, approaches, whatever. Let's see. Got fuel for 4 laps. Immediately going into the analysis. Big pressure. Steadily coming down, and at some point the tires lock. I need to open it to unlock and then go back onto the brakes. That was a clear correction, not an over braking in the reaction to it. Good mountains, a little bit of overlap on the pedal brake inputs, nothing too crazy though. Once again, getting too wide on the exit, but the tyres are not in the window yet, so those 310s are rather alright. Stay a bit away from that curb. I can take a little bit more speed through the turn. Gives me a 10th. Is that car for sector 3? No, it's not. bit of a wiggle. Here in the end, I think downshifting too fast is indeed locking the rears. Maximize the curb. Kind of missed the apex, right? I think we can agree. Despite getting that little bit of a tank slacker on the exit, still personal improvement. 2/10 down, up. Missed the turn in. At least not rattling that much onto Ascari. Safe to say. Found a little bit of improvement in sector 2. Not so much in Ascari. That is, I'd say I gave a tenth away there, but 35.5. So we're a tenth faster than on Thursday. I can surely have a look into the data after more successful runs. I mean, I'm obviously relying on the engine brake as well with the fast downshifts. That wasn't a good approach in Ascari. Let's see if tyres give me another shot. I'm all out to touch that curb on the outside by all means. Another 40 thousandths found. Das macht keinen Sinn. Es macht keinen Sinn. Yeah. Have you seen how huge the delta was in the middle of the chicane? By the amount of green color I could see on the top right, it must have been 2/10 up. At least, maybe even 2.5. From like being super slowly, as in not at all on the brakes. So, we'll return to garage. Let me go back to analysis. This time I can remove this one. Replace it with that. So white is my lap in qualifying. Colorful is the lap I've done now. So I fixed the first issue of putting that wave into the brakes, right? For turn 1. So that is kind of fixed. Maybe put some variants on top of it. And then very identical down till here. White is the qualifying lap that we did Thursday. So you see with the cars, I'm just a little later on turning. I'm a little earlier on setting around. I got the same wiggle on the exit apparently looking into those traces. And I am just that little bit earlier on power. I'm not too much earlier on brakes. Just a bit earlier on power getting out of the turn. Okay, so that is good first indication. Second, what do we have here? So on Thursday, in the second chicane, we broke later. We broke way later. But with that same... No, now I had that wave. Get this a bit out. So here I had this wave again in the colorful scheme. Whereas on Thursday, I initially picked up the brake. I was getting faster to the turn, like 2/10. I'm losing 2/10 in the braking zone, sort of. Well, 1.5, because here I overbroke clearly, right? Because here I'm earlier back on power. I'll turn in a lot, then open the steering, go the other direction. Yeah, I think I overshot the turn on Thursday on the fastest attempt. How are the rest looking? Lesmo 1 and 2. I had a tank slapper there on Thursday, which is another slapper. I had understeer. Where have I been carrying too much speed there? Purple is minus, yeah. So I carried way more speed up till here, which was too much speed. Lesmo exit 2 has been better on Thursday though. Has it? I have not for that. Not sure if that was a moment or not. Braking trace looks rather the same. I mean, we can go and have a look for Shay. He was putting that quick lap time in, so we can now compare his lap time that he did with ours that we just did now, and check on the braking. So I'm the color, he's the white. And we see for turn 1, brakes a tad earlier, then has the same aggression, more a little bit less aggression according to this one. Maybe you're right, but like the trace in itself, apart from the fact, I think he's not logging at the same rate, because some of those brake stuff looks very flattened. So I don't see too much of a difference in turn 1, and yet though, to me he turns in very early. Look how early but therefore gradually he's loading up the tire. And I don't know actually where he's ending up, but his counter steer action to get out of the turn Is it actually going a bit more deep than me? It at least starts more early, right? Like he is here, turning to the left, and I'm turning to the left here. So in the turn, up until this part of the exit, I'm ahead. But then I lose so much time. And this is why what I kind of don't get. I mean, I do see that he's a bit shorter here on throttle in between. I just keep looking at it and I don't have a good explanation. Again, I'm colored, so I'm having a bit of overspeed here. He's downshifting earlier than I do. Yeah, we're using the same gears all everywhere. Effectively, I gain a tenth and a half in the braking zone. I'm 2/10 ahead in the corner, and then I'll lose everything and beyond that, a full tenth on the exits. You also see that his RPM are much higher. Remember, he is the white one, I'm the colored one, so he's using more engine brake. Yet he's not locking the rear. Turn 2, he brakes earlier. He turns in earlier. Like his entirety of the turn looks to be earlier than mine. I'm not sure if I can read anything good out of this, because let's head to Ascari. Everywhere he's ever so slightly turning in earlier. Everything happens earlier, but his his white cross is ahead of mine in the graphics. So to me, it's that different. It looks weird. Yeah, but Stefan, like, he's downshifting faster and earlier than me, and in higher frequency. So his first shift comes here. Then here he's already 2 gears down on me. I'm still in 7th here. Then I go 6th. And when he goes to 4th, I go to 5th. Then I go to 4th. We both, no, he goes to 3rd first, and I go to 3rd. And he goes to 2nd first, and I go to 2nd. You see also, maybe not so much in 3rd gear anymore. I think from my shift from 4th to 3rd, I'm on his RPM level. Everything before that, he has just way more RPM. I don't think his brake bias is any. It's actually more rearwards. Even more so. Actually, he's locking something down here. That is locking the front right. His brake release is a lot more. It's a lot higher. What does that actually mean? Don't know what kind of values those are. Mines look rather flat until here in the end. I mean, I do some weird shit, right? So this part, where is this? It says he picks up the throttle probably from here on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get. Maybe we see that here already. I don't get why he's starting with a jump start on the cross. If that is 10 meters, like his Motec file is indicating something different. So I would need to add like a 10 meter. How can I add, maybe you guys know, how can I add that my curve is like 10 meters delayed? Yeah, then Stefan, I would like, if you say I'm downshifting too early and too stacked multiple quick times and downshifts at engine braking, I totally understand, I totally agree. Yet though, I'm locking the rear and he doesn't, despite he is even downshifting faster and downshifting with higher RPM, having even more engine brake. While also he has the mechanical brake one step further to the back. And our brake traces, I don't know, you can always speak about detail, right? But our brake traces, especially for turn 1, here in that area, they don't look too much different, apart from this final release way. I don't necessarily think we're using a different amount of track, really. If anything, I stay more to the inside, using a wider line into the exit of 2. On the exit, we're on the same path. It's just that, and this is what I don't understand, to me he runs deeper into turn 1, has a significant tighter line, not tighter, he has a, like, he's going more wide around the apex while I'm straight lining the exit as much as I can. And yet though, he just takes a tenth out of me, accelerating way quicker. His exit speed is 10 kph faster, and looking at this doesn't make any sense. He's downshifting early, so I have more time steering into the turn. Yeah, but this is the next thing. Why would you roll early into the apex here, then kind of go wide, have the rotation after the apex, instead of, in my case, having the rotation before the apex, staying a bit tighter, opening up the entry a little bit more to the left? Less slip angle, the TC triggers less, so he has more acceleration. I don't think it's a traction control issue. Parabolica, I actually gained 60,000s on him. Similar turning. Yeah, to an extent, not. But I had this. I had the same overlay issue on the session where the same things applied. Same conditions. Let's have a look. The plugin having an offset doesn't really help comparing, I think. Like, and it sounds stupid because on the one hand, I think we're talking about details. On the other hand, we're talking about 8 fucking 10. This is not details, that's fundamentals. But I'm looking into the data and you see there is not too much of a difference. At least from my point of view, there is not too much of a difference. I just don't understand the offset. Like, why does his lap start 10 meters later than mine? Or like, why does he already have a 10-meter head start when comparing on a meter-to-meter basis? I don't know. Maybe I need to ask the guys for their DMP plugin to make that comparable, because I think there could be differences in the way the DAMP plugin is set up that could lead to displaying differences. But again, like, I'm looking at the files and being like, what the hell is actually going on? No, we're not using DuckDB. I don't know how to convert the DuckDB things. And we're all using Motec, so I don't need the DuckDB stuff anyway. You think DuckDB is more accurate? You have more info. Copy. Yeah, true, you have the virtual energy info or stuff. But like, I'm not losing or missing any significant information here. Brake traces and stuff is in both kind of files the same way. One or two more shots. I don't know if the grip levels have been saturated on Thursday. But as a matter of fact, I mean, we're talking still about 7/10. And if he really goes more deep, goes like this. To me, that is not significantly different, and I think we could compare these in the end, or this lap later on, with the lap I did. Yeah. So much about that one. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. When we're looking after this run onto the Motec pile again. No, I don't. I've set up the session in the same way weather-wise. I would expect the tires to behave also quite the same. what a big mistake. Way too late on the brakes. But you know, you feel that, and yet I'm only losing 1.5 tenths. So I kind of can't believe looking into the data and be like completely puzzled as in how the data comes together. Because it doesn't add up to me in any single way. Suffering from the very same tank slapper there again. Every time, like, you go, come out of parabolica, you open the steering, you put the power down. When power's full down, you open the steering further, and then the car comes with a tank slapper around. Yeah, that was a downshift issue. Too late from seconds, not too early from second to first. 6/10. So taking the curb is also not the magic we're trying to find. Braking too early to completely nail the exit is also not doing the magic. Thank you, Stefano. This is the most, honestly, this is the most accurate observation of all times. And I don't mean that in any sarcastic way. This is exactly my issue. What I feel doing feels absolutely right. But looking at the time, it's absolutely wrong. And this is what is, like, I keep questioning my 20 years of experience with what the fuck is going on. This is precisely the issue. I feel like I'm driving the car on its very limit and as good as I can do it. Thank you very much, Stefano, for your kind words. The hard thing for me to understand or believe, though, assuming that you are right, it's just about details. I'm having such a hard time to understand how details is 8.5 tenths. To me, that's not details, that's almost... Universe is the wrong word, but you know... When we're talking about almost a second, we're not talking about small details, I think. So, improve to a 0.3. Yeah, I get that with a 30% accuracy. But, like, here comes the thing now. And I'm now comparing the lap that I just did. Or the laps that I just did. Where is it? Come on, show me. Where is the Motec? Show me the Motec, come on. There we are. And I'm comparing it to my lap time right now. So the new PB is what I've done Actually, I wanted to check the lap before when I went deep into turn 1 and actually didn't lose too much of time. You seen it? It is. Is that turn 1? Yeah, that is turn 1. And I think this time here I went super deep. This map. Why is this map so broken? So you see what I mean? This time I took the same line as Shay. Almost. Look how Shay's line is looking at. And I like went right off in between. And you see the difference, like 17 thousandths away, I'm sitting here. For whatever reason, the variance of him, and it does not make any sense whatsoever. Because this Motec here is saying, in this area, with the lap that I did on 30 minutes ago, the 35.5, here's the thing, the 35.5 indicates I am 17 thousandths faster than the 35.3, sorry, than the 36.7 that I did. And I'm also 1.3 tenths faster than the 34.8 of Shay. But look, if you're looking at the lines that this Motec is showing here, and if you indicate Apex 1 is here, Apex 2 is there, you would not say that the green line is the fastest, isn't it? I mean, it makes sense. Up until this point, it's not the fastest. But if you go on and on and on, up until here, I'm losing so much more time. And I simply do not understand why that is the case. I have absolutely no idea whatsoever. And we're having the same thing now. Here the tape is saying that my 35.5 is 1.5 tenths quicker than the 35.3 in the same area. And the 35.3 is going way wider into the turn. I remember like you probably can see it somewhere here in the brake trace, I locked the rears heavily. Going into the turn, yeah, but I'm looking into the data and I'm like, what the fuck's even going on? And then again, this 10 meters difference in the tape. Like, you know, where Shay is putting on the throttle makes absolutely sense from looking at it, but he isn't right there according in the same aspect. Like, despite we're saying tape at 958 meters, he's like, as you can see, roughly 10 meters further down the road, according to this. But yeah, I don't get it. I do not get the sakes of it. Yeah, 35.358. That is 4.5 tenths off. You could say I sort of halved the gap, and I can sleep a little bit better now. But like, I have to be bloody honest with you. At 35.6, that 35.359 that I just did, it feels almost like the utter maximum. Almost. Watching Shay, the thing that brights the most is the momentum in the corner. Yeah, I agree. It is about momentum in the corner, and I'm going for one final shot at it. But I don't understand how to create it. Because I'm looking at the turn-in trace, and I see, as much as I'm on a little bit of a different steering wheel rotation. We're having the same turning angles, you know? It's not like I overheat on the steering wheel. It's not like I'm doing something super fancyly wrong. You know, it's like if he's turning like this, I don't turn like that. For instance, it's subtle. I think on most of the occasions when the tables actually in line with each other, we're talking about 1 to 2% of steering difference. That's like not much. Yep, exactly, Stefano. Just my issue is that I feel like I'm typing AAAA. I don't see all those DHSAH inputs, or I don't feel them. I don't know how to say it. And this is where the frustration is coming from. I've always, back in the day in R Factor 2 times, when I was comparing my Motec logs against the NAs, I was like, yep, I do see where those 0.2 of different are coming from. Whether that is turning too much, turning too little, turning too early, turning not aggressive enough, turning not in time, or braking not smoothly enough, stuff like that. I could say it and be like, yep, I get those 0.2. But here I'm looking into the data, and I say I probably understand a tenth, maybe I'll understand 1.5 tenths, but 8, respectively now, what is it, 4.5? That is beyond me, that I don't understand. What I also will never understand is that the first lap on colder tires is... fucked. Hey Hammond. Anyway, I'll give this one more shot to see whether there's a 35.2 for me. And then I'm kind of calling it a day. The steps taken today is already a big step forward. And, you know, here's the thing. This is my second hour of practice, so to say. Now, if in my second hour of practice, I close the gap to 4/10, what if I put 4 hours of practice and then the gap is only 10.5. Threshold braking instead of trailing. You mean to keep a steady brake level? I mean, Stefano, your lap times are looking great as well. Like wherever I see you on the leaderboards, you're at front. Oops. Just practice the full day? Well, besides the fact that I would probably burn out, due to me having a full-time 8 to 5 job, means I can't practice all day long, even if I would want to. Yeah, maybe that's a difference. But you know, as much as time can always be a difference that you spend in a car or on the track, at some point you'd be like, I should at least be able with my skill level to come close. As in reasonably close, you know? Not like super close. There will always be that 10th or 10th and a half that I will miss in perfection and stuff, but yeah, I guess you guys are aware of what I mean, right? So we have 2 shots at this, calling it a day after it anyway. Actually 3 shots, because I need to do a little bit of odd work on the channel still. Let's try and do this. Yeah, it's the first weeks you're dedicating to hypercars, and I feel like it's the first weeks ever I'm trying to even learn hypercars. Felt like an absolute shit corner, yet it's almost time identical. And there I'm blocking the rears. Hey, max power. Yeah, Max, you know, I assume I'm not sitting on a different setup than Shay. As far as I understand, this is the setup that Shay has used to put a 34.8. So I need to be able to replicate that with this setup. I'm not changing too much apart from, you know, the likelihood of brake bias and stuff. I will do after the session, Stefano. I have to stop now anyway. I'll just do it afterwards. Yep, this is the thing. 30 thousandths faster, felt super rubbish turn, just barely held on and managed, but it's faster, you know? And I think that is, to me right now, the biggest issue of these hypercars. It doesn't feel absolutely intuitive of what you have to do. Not gonna lie, guys, the way I took turn 1 and 2 in my world should have never been allowed to be faster compared to the lap where I did it cleanly. But it was. And it's like, I can't approach turn 1 on the edge like this 24/7 in a race. You will die. You will die. And I do not feel that limit, as in where you'll be underdriving it, but it looks clean. Driving perfectly in the cars on the edge and overdriving in the cars beyond the edge and it's gone anyway. Same with this entry into Parabolica right now. Entry felt absolutely fine. Mid-turn you start oversteering and it's like story of my life. I keep waiting to see what is the car doing. Okay, we just call it a day. This is already kind of overdriving. I understand not being pitch perfect on the anti-cuts and stuff is a thing, but yeah. What is my personal best possible time now? A loath 0.3. Merz Agbulut, thank you very much for joining and welcome to the stream. Yeah, guys, I'm calling it a day. I may have to do another session like that with the Ferrari. But for the time being, it is what it is, and it's not enough. We made good progress. We found 3.5 tenths, which is great. We're still lacking 4.5 tenths, which is shit. So yeah, it is what it is, though. Again, I'm on the very same setup than Shay. Shay can do a 34.8. I can't even do a 34. So I have to understand where the heck the difference is coming from. So anyway, we're gonna hopefully understand a different day. We will go into ourselves, think about it again, and maybe come up with a solution in short term. You know what, guys? I'll note you when I found the mojo, and I will tell you, I'm 100% sure, I will have no idea what actually will have done the change. Matt, you want to have my opinion about one situation? Quickly shoot. I'm ending the stream. I'll type in the answer to it. And I say thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the session, going a bit behind the scenes into what am I doing, what am I thinking, and so on. Please give the stream a thumbs up. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe us on the YouTube channel if you haven't done already. And then make sure to check out this channel for a couple of announcements coming soon. For those of you that have watched the unboxing of my teamwear, saying we're going to have a little bit more professionalism in the near future. So let's see how you guys will encounter that. Till then, guys, Herman, no, sorry, Evan, feel free to shoot me a DM, please, about that app. I'm interested to know on it. Till then, guys, have a great start to the week. See you. Bye-bye.